This game's gonna be so cool. It's gonna be so cool. It's such a breath of fresh air. Take my money. Take my money. I want this game. This game's gonna be so cool. It's gonna be so cool. It's such a breath of fresh air. Take my money. Take my money. I want this game. Let's talk about the day before, again, because I made a video about this last week, as you probably could tell from that weird intro that I made. I hope you enjoyed that. Yeah, in that bit of footage, I showed you some comments on my previous video about the day before, where a few guys were saying, this is a scam, basically, or the day before the project is a scam. So let's look into that in this video. Let's find out what the hell is going on with this, because it looks incredible, but some people are just like, nah, this game ain't happening. And if it does happen, it's not going to be how we all think it will be, if that makes sense. But anyway, there is this article, svg.com. I'm not familiar with this website, I have to admit. Link to this will be in the description as always if you want to read it for yourself. As you could see from the heading, the day before's development just keeps getting stranger. This was June of this year, so a few months ago now. And it goes on to say, the development cycle for upcoming open world MMO survival game The Day Before has certainly been a strange one. It has been turning heads ever since an announcement trailer was revealed in January 2021, which showcased some pretty impressive graphics. The title is being put out by Russian developer Fantastic and Singaporean publisher Mytona, both of which have a relative lack of experience in putting out a major release of this scope. This fact has led many fans to worry that the gameplay displayed in the trailer may not actually be a legitimate representation of the game that will eventually find its way into the hands of players. Things got even stranger when The Day Before approached its initial release date. Fantastic originally intended for the game to come out in June 2022, but only 1 month before it was set to be released, the company announced that the game would be delayed until March the 1st, 2023. All of this has certainly raised some eyebrows, but none of it has stopped The Day Before from becoming the most wishlisted game on Steam. Now it seems that there is a new wrinkle in the game's development. Fantastic have been recruiting unpaid volunteers to help complete the game, which has raised more than a few questions from the gaming community. The request for volunteers on Fantastic's website states, Fantastic's culture is based on the idea of volunteering. This means that every member of Fantastic is a volunteer. It seems that there are two different categories of volunteers, however. There are a limited number of full-time volunteers who are paid a salary. In spite of the name, these seem to be the company's primary employees who are responsible for the bulk of the game's development. I'll skip the next bit about volunteer culture and go straight to The Day Before has fans concerned. So let's read this. In a video attached to Fantastic's website, Fantastic founders talked about why the company utilizes this structure. They describe volunteering as an act of willful participation, claiming that the volunteering brings a certain pleasantness to every action taken. Some members of the gaming community were not thrilled to learn about this business model. One Twitter user wrote, "Unpaid work at a AAA studio to create an MMO on Unreal Engine 5 in 2022. How about Fantastic pays its workers that are helping deliver a massive project?" Another Twitter user stated, "This has screamed scam from the very beginning. Studio with zero pedigree for AAA games all of a sudden comes out of nowhere with an insanely ambitious open world online survival horror game. Yeah, take this one off the wish list, people." Gamers won't know for certain whether The Day Before will live up to what viewers saw in its trailer until it releases next year, but right now, the studio seems to be losing fans fast. And then I found this at Reddit. Good old Reddit. I love Reddit, guys. And this thread is from 2 years ago. People keep saying it's a scam. What's the scam? Question mark. Is this being crowdfunded or something? Is it on a pre-sale on Steam? I haven't seen anything about them asking or getting money from anyone yet. If the game doesn't come out, then it doesn't come out. If the game looks and plays like crap when it comes out, then it will be quickly discovered. I just don't understand the scam part of this because I don't see the end game of the con. Which is a fair question, and it's something I have asked one or two people in the comments on my own videos about this, because I didn't realise any of this stuff with the volunteers and all that kind of thing was going on in the background. I'm glad you guys brought it to my attention. Thank you for that. That is why I am now making this video, obviously. But anyway, the replies to this are quite interesting. I did read this earlier. This Reddit user replies by saying, "It's too early to say scam, but we definitely need to see way more than a scripted trailer before we can believe the hype. We have been betrayed too many times by gaming companies." And when we scroll down to this user, Glenn Wayman, he or she goes on to say, "When people say scam, they are referring to very similar assets from The Division. The scripted gameplay we see and the interface is similar to many other games. About 7 years ago, there was a similar situation with a game called The War Z, now known as Infestation Survivor Stories, which to this day has kept people skeptical about open world zombie survival games. That is my understanding anyway. Personally, I'm looking forward to giving this a try." Another user goes into much more detail here, as you can see, and I'll quickly skim through this. He says, or she says, "The game magically appeared out of nowhere a few months after a big Ubisoft hack. Has barely any information about it outside of 2 heavily scripted short gameplay clips. Said gameplay clips are basically identical to The Division, literally using identical art assets, animations and movements. The company has only been around for a few years and has a bad history of pumping out poorly received games, which is always a bad sign. The games are all very low budget and most are top down, so it's really odd they suddenly have a very expensive looking AAA game that they made themselves." And this is interesting here. A lot of the UI is ripped straight from The Last of Us 2, especially the aiming reticle and the way it responds. It's identical. That is something I did think, and I did wonder myself. But it's an interesting read, guys. I will put the link to this thread in the description along with the SVG article. Let's have a look at it on Steam a minute. Let's see what is going on with this. So it's still saying planned release date March 1st, 2023. We have all of these. I mean, that does look very Division, doesn't it? I mean, that's the first thing I thought. If we take a look at their Twitter, post-apocalyptic America. So as you can see, official Twitter for the day before, developed by Fantastic Games and published by MyToner Official. And the most recent thing they've got here is a lot of the media these days cover our volunteering culture widely and Fantastic. We want to clarify this in the Medium article. What does it mean to be a volunteer at Fantastic? And I think we touched on that earlier. There's a lot of skepticism. There's a lot of people wondering what the hell is going on with this. The thumbnail says scam or genuine. I can't answer that. After researching this all day and looking into it, there is no concrete evidence of either that this is genuine or if this is a scam. We just don't know yet. And it's a waiting game. It's basically let's wait and see. If people are working for free on this, that isn't right. People should be paid for an honest day's work, for a week's work, for a month's work, etc. They should be paid. If volunteers are going in literally volunteering to get that experience on their CV or their resume, as you would call it in the States, that's fine with me. Especially people coming out of university, or maybe people whilst they are studying video game programming or whatever, video game development in university, in college, and the day before developer takes them on as a volunteer to do some work and to learn the ropes with programming and all of that. I haven't got an issue with that. What I would have an issue with is volunteers, in quotations, working 50, 60, 70 hour crunch weeks and not getting paid a penny. That wouldn't be right. That wouldn't sit right with me. But a volunteer going in and just doing a few hours and getting experience for doing it, I don't see an issue with that. There's more to this than meets the eye. And I really appreciate, like I said earlier, you guys getting in the comments and telling me more about this. Because I have searched high and low for a definitive answer on whether this game is actually a scam. I don't think it is. But at the same time, I don't know if we are going to get the game we all think and hope we are going to get. As always, thank you so much for watching. Hit the video up with a like, or hit the thumbs down if you thought it was a terrible video. I'll speak to you all soon. Take care.